justice.
Third time's a charm? That's what a small-town fire department is hoping for this upcoming election.
We have lost 8 firefighter EMTs to area departments.
A levy will determine if the crew gets a pay bump and fuel staff retention. The call may not be coming from inside of the house, but U.S. intelligence could be listening to your conversation. Today we break down warrantless spying. Idaho history compiled into one place, the Encyclopedia of the Gem State, and how historians bring it all together. Well, voters in the Parma Fire District will soon decide whether or not to approve a $1 million levy. It's aimed at helping the department keep up with the growth and staffing shortages. As Abby Wilt reports, without more funding, response times could climb.
We're just going to continue getting busier and busier.
From medical calls to fires, the Parma Fire Department covers a lot of ground.
So we have 136 square miles that we cover.
But Fire Chief Jeff Rogers says there's just not enough staffing to keep up.
If we can get consistent people in here and fully staffed every day, it just helps us all the way around to get to those emergencies a little bit quicker.
The department has 17 employees right now. They each work about 2 days a week, but they only make $11.75 an hour.
The fire levy is going to help us with paying our employees at least a livable wage.
A proposed $1 million levy on the ballot would increase staffing to 20 firefighters and EMTs. Rogers says that would also help retain employees, which has been a major problem.
Between May of last year and May of this year, we have lost 8 firefighter EMTs to area departments. We've lost them to Boise, Meridian, Eagle, Caldwell. With our low pay, and those guys are just looking to support their families, so we don't blame them, but it'd be nice if we could retain them.
Less staffing also leads to slower response times, and Rogers says sometimes if both crews are out on calls, the department can't keep up.
If there's another medical call that comes in, there's nobody left.
And if there's nobody left to go on calls, Rogers says that just makes people in crisis wait longer.
So if we get understaffed, that's just going to make our response times longer.
And how many times have you tried to pass this levy?
So this will be our 3rd time, and the other 2 times we've lost by 45 votes.
A citizen task force came to evaluate the past 2 times the levy has failed. Rogers says they said one thing: to try again.
If this passes, that'll increase their taxes to $98.17 per 100,000. It's a huge burden. I think that breaks down to like $8 and some odd cents per month. The best thing is go out and vote. Make your voices heard.
The May primary election is on May 19th, just a few weeks away, and the department is urging people here in Parma to get out and vote. Reporting in Parma, Abby Wilt, Idaho's News Channel 7.
Well, if you're planning to vote absentee for the May primaries, the deadline to request an absentee ballot is this Friday. You have until 5 o'clock local time to do that, which you can do on voteidaho.gov. By the way, early voting is already underway in several Idaho counties. The state's most populated county, Ada, kicked off early voting on Monday. We have a full list of what counties are participating and where those polling locations are located on our website, ktvb.com.
Look, we need more debate on this. We need to look for some common ground.
Did you know that the government can spy on you if you're communicating with foreigners, even without a warrant? Well, they can, but that could soon be changing. Justin Cora looked into this, and Justin, who's trying to change this?
Well, Congresspeople on both sides of the aisle are trying to change this, including Idaho congressmen. First, though, let's talk about the law here. Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, allows intelligence agencies to collect the communications of people outside the United States, even when they're interacting with Americans. And they can do that without a warrant. Supporters say it's a critical part of protecting the American people. Critics say it's a roundabout way of spying on the American people, again, without a warrant. This section of the law was actually set to expire just last week, But after some heated debate in Congress, they extended it, though for just 45 days. That's because, as you heard Congressman Russ Fulcher of Idaho talk about just a minute ago, they need more debate on this. Specifically, he thinks spying on foreigners who might want to do harm to the U.S. is fine, unless they're talking to U.S. citizens. Then he believes it becomes spying on U.S. citizens, and that should at least require a warrant.
The idea behind that is to try to intercept content, try to intercept information that might lead to protection of the homeland. Well, a number of years ago, that got extended to include American citizens. And there are a number of us that don't think that American citizens should be unknowingly surveilled without some sort of due process, some sort of a warrant. And so that has been the hard debate on that. And my position has been that there needs to be a warrant if you're going to unknowingly surveil, track, garner information, store information on American citizens. Now, we all know there could be a very good purpose for that, but there is a warrant process, and some of us believe that that needs to happen.
Now, a couple years ago, Congress actually voted on an amendment to require a warrant for this kind of surveillance. It failed, barely, by the closest of votes, a tie vote, 212-212. There was bipartisan support then. There is bipartisan support now to change that. We'll keep an eye on it, Hunter.
Okay, so they extended it for 45 days. When are they taking this up again?
Well, they have a scheduled recess coming right up in mid-May. So when they get back from that, according to Congressman Fulcher, this is going to be one of their main priorities.
Okay, so then my last question for you, if I have cousins from England and I call them, they could technically listen to that.
Yeah, if they think they're maybe going to do harm to the U.S., maybe by importing some of their terrible food. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, I was giving them my secret family recipe, so I'm a little concerned now.
That's in the hands of the FBI.
All right, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. All right, Justin, thank you. All right, now to the 4-1. An Idaho Department of Correction officer has lawyered up after a police shooting during a prison break. Now, if you remember, the shooting happened during a chaotic inmate escape at St. Alphonsus in Boise more than 2 years ago. Boise police officers responded to reports of an active shooter at the hospital, unaware that IDOC officers were already there. Officers shot at a man they believed was the suspect, but it was actually a correctional officer who was critically injured. That correctional officer is suing the city of Boise, Ada County, and the officer who shot him. He says the officer used excessive force and didn't properly identify who he was shooting at. After several investigations, the officer who shot at the IDOC officer has been cleared. An investigation is underway after someone drew a swastika on Mark Fitzpatrick campaign sign. The Ada County Sheriff's Office says it happened at the Old State Saloon. Fitzpatrick is running for Idaho State Governor. We've reached out to his campaign for more information, but have yet to hear back. And a group hoping to get a medical marijuana initiative on the ballot says it submitted more than enough signatures. The Natural Medicine Alliance of Idaho says it's collected over 150,000 signatures across all of Idaho's counties for the Idaho Medical Cannabis Act. Counties will work to verify that those signatures are legit, then turn them over to the Secretary of State's office. If they pass the final check, the citizen-led initiative will be on your ballot this November. And that's the 4-1. Documentation of the faces and moments that have made a lasting impact on the state. Coming up, a look at the ultimate directory for Idaho and its history. And you don't need a directory to find our number. Just text us 208-321-5614, and we might just share your comment at the end of the show.
Often the people who look at this the most are fourth graders, learning about Idaho, Idaho history, the Idaho symbols.
A dive into Idaho's history and culture. That's the purpose behind the Idaho Blue Book. It's where faces, moments, and symbols of Idaho appear on the page for the public record. The book is published every other year in a collaboration between Secretary of State's office and the Idaho State Historical Society. The copies receive dedications to Idahoans essential to the state's history. This year's edition is dedicated to Rebecca Brown Mitchell, the first female chaplain in the Idaho State House who pushed for the women's right to vote. Now, we caught up with the Secretary of State on how the people behind the Blue Book modernized it compared to the previous years.
This is an edition from 1935, so it goes way back in terms of Idaho and its history. And the Secretary of State's office has been working over the years to publish all this information and make it available. But with time and with the digital era, times have changed, and the relevance of the Blue Book compared to the old days of the encyclopedia has also changed. We reimagined Idaho's Blue Book, and I think that's the best phrase for it. Wanting it to bring it back to life, especially for those fourth graders and others who are really wanting to learn about Idaho, its symbols, its history. Our team in our office has put in countless hours to make it more of a coffee table book and to really highlight our beautiful state.
Okay, so you have the option of the hard copy there, or you can find a free PDF to this year's copy and previous years on the Secretary of State's website. Well, Idaho Gives is underway, and there's only a couple days left to donate to the Idaho's largest online giving campaign. The goal this year is to raise $6 million for Idaho nonprofits. Now, the group behind this annual event is the Idaho Community Foundation. And thanks to the royalties from an iconic song, scholarships are funded across the state. So let's take a look at what that song is and its origins in this 208 callback.
It's a tune you've likely heard more than once.
Right foot. You put your right foot in.
It's like one of those earworms that you're not going to forget.
And you shake it all about.
A melody so memorable,
And you turn around. That's what it's all about.
you'd know it no matter the language.
It's not just an American thing. It's performed, it's danced, it's sung all around the world. The rhythmic repetition of it and the silliness of shaking your body parts and making eye contact with other people while you do it. With everybody facing each other, it kind of gives it that collective experience.
Do the hokey pokey!
A song so ingrained in America, even music professors profess its primary place in our past.
I mean, it was always a part of my kind of musical experience from elementary school on. I remember dancing it as a little kid.
You do the hokey pokey and
The hokey pokey.
It seems so simple. Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
However, how it got here isn't so simple.
It's complex, and some would say there's conspiracies behind the origin. There are a number of people who claim credit for the lyrics behind it, the moves, the rhythm.
it's all about left.
But its origin story, at least legally, can be linked to Idaho.
This trio in Sun Valley, they were entertaining the ski crowd in the late 1940s, early 1950s.
The Ram Trio, consisting of Larry LaPrise, Charles McCack, and Taft Baker, was the house band of the Ram restaurant at the Sun Valley Resort, beginning in 1939. The story goes, according to LaPrise, the band needed something catchy to get people to loosen up and out of their seats. So LaPrise wrote one and claimed the idea came from a French song his dad used to sing. Then, in 1949, the trio, now labeled as the Sun Valley Trio, put the hokey pokey on vinyl. The record ended up being a poor seller, but that wasn't the trio's only problem. You see, 3 years earlier, Robert Deegan and Joe Breyer recorded a similar song to entertain vacationers in the Poconos. So they sued LaPrise and settled, with LaPrise winning the rights to anything having to do with the hokey pokey. Jump ahead to 1953, when Ray Anthony and his orchestra put out their seminal Bunny Hop. On the B-side,
Right arm.
a version of the hokey pokey you might recognize. Years later, LaPrise would end up selling his rights to the song to Roy Acuff Music. And that's where the hokey pokey would put its whole self in on Idaho.
Okay, so now we know the origin story of the hokey pokey, and it's a little bit more complex, but ultimately, Larry LaPrise won the American rights, and 5 years after he died in 1996, well, that's when his family set up a scholarship fund where the hokey pokey's royalty fees go, which the Idaho Community Foundation manages, and as we mentioned before, is the group that also manages Idaho Gives. So every year, it brings the state together by raising money and awareness for the nonprofits. To help one or more of those nonprofits, you can donate online right now. All you have to do is visit idahogives.org and search for a nonprofit to give to. You can donate now through tomorrow at midnight. For more information on how to give and to get a link directly to your phone, just text the word GIVE to the number there on your screen. That's 208-321-5614, and we'll send you a link directly to your phone with more information. Also, a reminder, now is your chance to tour the St. Jude Dream Home. The open house now goes through the 17th, and today and tomorrow the tours start at 5 and end at 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday tours are noon to 8 p.m. and Sunday tours are noon to 6. During your tour, don't forget to sign up to win a $10,000 shopping spree at More Furniture. The drawing for the house plus all of the other prizes will be June 10th. There are less than 6,600 tickets still for sale, so the clock is ticking.
like it was a beautiful start to the day, and those photos from Melissa. I believe she goes for a run every morning in Mountain Home and sends those sunrise shots in. And hey, those clear skies have persisted across most of southern Idaho for most of our Wednesday. We're seeing a few clouds building over the mountains right now. McCall still very comfortable at 65. It's a very weak atmospheric disturbance dropping by mostly to our east. That could trigger a spot little sprinkle of rain, maybe a couple flashes of lightning in the central mountains later this evening. But for the most part, a very nice and quiet Wednesday on our hands. 76 in Boise right now, 72 with blue skies over the Perrine Bridge in Twin Falls, and a very comfy 70 in Sun Valley. We had those breezy winds this morning. For the most part, they have backed off quite a bit, except in the Magic Valley as per usual, but still about 15-mile-per-hour winds, nothing all that significant. We'll continue to see rounds of wind coming and going. So most afternoons or most days, I should say, we'll start off calm. We'll see that wind picking up in the afternoon. I think our windiest days coming our way will likely be Friday into Saturday. But all in all, the bigger headline is going to be that summer-like heat. We'll stay pretty comfortable for the next 3 days. And then Mother Nature really cranks the thermostat by Mother's Day. I don't have any 90s in my forecast right now. The heat has backed off just a little bit over the last 24 hours, but still it's going to be very hot for the spring, this time in the spring season. And unfortunately, there is no rain in sight, which means we'll have to do all the watering of our gardens and lawns by ourselves. No help from Mother Nature there. All of that courtesy of a big, strong, and what will become a persistent ridge of high pressure that will anchor itself over the western United States and just stay put. You can see how quiet, clear and dry it is across the west. So in the mountains, if you want to maybe beat the heat of the valleys, you see temperatures in those mid to even upper 60s by Saturday in McCall, up near 70 degrees. This is Boise's typical daytime high for this point in the month of May. Abundant sunshine across the region, just stunning. Here's our Thursday in Boise. By noon, we're already into the 70s, reaching for a high of 80 degrees tomorrow, so a couple degrees warmer than what we're seeing today. And like I mentioned, those winds will start picking up a bit in the afternoon. More nuisance winds, nothing damaging, but still maybe it'll help wick the sweat a bit if you are out and about in that sunshine tomorrow. Morning lows will be comfortable, really nice for that sunrise run or early morning walk. We'll wake up to the 50s across the Snake River Plain. High temps will land in the low 80s for the entire Treasure Valley tomorrow. Mid 70s on deck with sunny skies in the Magic Valley, and up in the mountains another very comfortable day. 63 for Stanley tomorrow, 72 in Haley. Fairfield a beautiful 71 degrees with nothing but sunshine across the region. So rinse and repeat that scenario from Friday all the way into Saturday. Highs up around 80 with some breezy winds popping in from time to time. Mother's Day is going to be a scorcher up near 90 degrees, and then we just stay hot, mid 80s every afternoon through next Wednesday. All right, 522, let's take a quick check of traffic conditions. It is starting to get pretty slow out there on westbound I-84. This is the 184 I-84 merge point right now. You can see things are stacking up there. And as we look at our current traffic flow across the region, we are seeing slow and go conditions at the Flying Y. You'll be tapping the brakes off and on as you get out from Meridian into Nampa. So a little slow there. Eagle Road and Highway 2026 also starting to stack up. So your drive from Boise to Caldwell right now taking about half an hour.
Okay, let's get to some of your comments. We have NS who says, Justin, I grew up in England. If you want to talk about terrible food, go to most fast food places here. The English actually have good food if you know where to go. Honestly, I gotta agree, and it's my heritage as well. Yorkshire pudding with a roast, unmatched. It's so good. Okay, I could go on for days about that though, and the tea's always great too. Okay, then we have Dale who says, Hunter, my wife had a dog named Hokey, named after Hokey Pokey, so I guess it extends to other things too. That's a great name. So Idahoan of you to name it Hokey Pokey too, especially with the rights here. All right, and then we have Sandy who says, Hunter, does anyone still know what a directory is? And you got me, because you're right. A lot of people don't. I will say I do know. But for maybe the next generation, let's describe it. Let's teach them something. So a directory is usually like the structured, often alphabetical list of individuals or organizations. For example, phone directories, telephone books. They're a thing. You need to know about it. Learn about it. Go out there and learn. Yeah.